Vivian. Hi. All right, everyone, we will get started. Hello and welcome to our weekly event, the Eros Sutra study. I am your host, Maya Gilbert. During this event, we will dive into the teachings of the Eros Sutras with Aubrey Fuller. Aubrey is a lead creator and 14-year practitioner of orgasmic meditation. You are the artist of your own life, and the world is waiting for your expression to awaken and draw out what it wants to bring forth. This is a bold way to think about living. Eros, the awakening to the pervasive intimacy of erotic love, is the fuel and the connective force that guides us into manifesting who we really are. There is no right or wrong way to approach the Eros Sutras. The agreement is that you go in and wrestle out what is the truth is for you in order to claim your strength and cultivate your deep spiritual power. There's no better way to start than just to dive in and begin digesting what you can chew. Enjoy yourself completely. The format of today's event will include an opening dedication by Leah Mendelsohn and the reading of today's sutra, followed by a talk from Aubrey, and then we will open the floor to questions. We'll conclude with reflections and close with a prayer. So while it's reading, you can think about your questions and have any kind of questions you want to bring. All are welcome. We'll now start with a dedication from Leah, followed by the sutra.
The prayer of the red thread. To the warriors of the red thread who follow their knowing no matter what, who embrace that they are power itself and make art and medicine from pain. To the benevolent beings of Eros who vow to bring heaven to earth rather than escape in the secure comfort of sleep or collapse in apathy and nihilism. To our many protectors in every dimension, our angels, our animal angels, and our feline guardians. To all those who came before and paved the way, and to the places that have held us and revealed the mysteries to us. To the underground mycelium network of information exchange. As the holders of this craft and the artists of the erotic mandala, we offer the very best of our practice, the full excellence of our hearts and efforts. We offer our joy and our deep, abiding enjoyment.
Thanks, Leah. Can you guys hear me? Not yet. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. Let me put my computer on gallery so I can see everybody. Okay, awesome. It's really good to see you guys. I'm really excited about the sutra today. I think it's called vulnerability, and it's one of the more, it's hard to pick the most beautiful aspects of Eros, but it's one of the most powerful and beautiful aspects of this path, in my opinion. And it's, I think the first line of it is that when you're most vulnerable is when you're most powerful. And so I think as an experience, vulnerability is incredibly beautiful and rich and connective. And then as also a way of engaging with the world, like a play that you can make in your engagement with the world, it's also a really powerful play. So I'm excited about this one. Okay, let's do it, Courtney. Vulnerability. We are most powerful when we are most vulnerable. This may seem a paradox in the same way a heart that is the deepest and most whole is one that is broken. It is only in our vulnerability that we recognize we are capable of withstanding more than we thought, where we discover hidden resources of strength. Without vulnerability, we cannot connect to the part of ourselves that is powerful and more true than any external voice. It is only in our vulnerability that we can find what we truly desire and use it as a compass, our guide in the realm of Eros. And really make note of that one, because that is a really interesting statement. It's only in vulnerability that we find what we truly desire. That's significant for what I really want to highlight today. So remember that piece. When we are completely vulnerable, we do not have to run to or from anything. We are beyond defending, protecting, justifying, judging, or competing. We realize there is no enemy. Nothing can touch us in a way that is not beautiful and true. And there is only one taste, the taste of freedom, liberation. The drop into the open, broken, receptive, honest, naked vulnerability is only 2 feet, from up in our heads down into our hearts. But it can seem completely disorienting, as though it would take lifetimes. It does not require that we cry, as crying can be performative. Vulnerability calls us to stay present with gravity, power, and clarity, not ducking out or hiding in a negotiation. We simply stay with the bare thread of it and remain connected no matter what. For each of us, true vulnerability is specific. We always know it when we feel it, and we always recognize it when we see it in someone else. Okay, so it's so beautiful. I'm going to keep this handy because I think I might go back to it. More and more when I do the sutras with people on the Eros platforms calls that I do and stuff, it just keeps feeling more and more like a Bible, you know? Like I really, every time I come on these, I really want to be like, everybody please turn to page 86. We'll be studying this part of the scripture today. Because that really is how it feels. But, and I love how, like the more often I get to work with people on the sutras, the more it feels like the intersections between all the different pieces. This is why it was like, you know, this is why Courtney, one of our main sutra editors, has trouble deciding the order of things sometimes, because it's just so non-linear, you know, they all intersect. And as I was kind of sinking into the like frequency of this particular sutra, or like the flavor of this particular sutra, and kind of, it was probably 4 or 5 days ago that I first started I was like, oh, okay, I'm leading sutra study on Tuesday. This is the sutra. And I just started to sort of descend my consciousness down into the feeling of this particular sutra, and consider, you know, like this topic for myself in my own life, and what I think about it and how I feel about it, and what came to me that would want to be expressed today. And so I think it was in a meditation. We've been meditating a lot. We have a retreat happening here at Tibetan Buddhist retreat happening here with this amazing teacher, and so we have a lot of practice every day. And I think it was in one of those like kind of liminal meditation spaces that it wasn't even my intention, and I just felt like I kind of landed inside of something. And the thought that came to me was, for women, the most vulnerable thing is always hunger. Always, it's always hunger. It's always being exposed in our hunger and being seen in our hunger. And so that's really what I want to talk about today, is hunger. And that's why it's funny that, you know, you can never figure out what order the sections of the sutra should go in, because they all just intersect so much. So we'll be talking about vulnerability, but we'll also be talking about hunger. So yeah, when I think about when I kind of scanned over all the places in my own life the moments in my own life where I felt most vulnerable, or the points in a conversation with someone where I feel the most exposed and the most vulnerable, or just kind of that tremblingly involuntary kind of quiver inside that comes with vulnerability. When I feel into that, and I think about times that I feel that, it always has to do with hunger and desire, and this feeling like like initially there's the thought that it's dangerous to unconceal that, like it's gonna be unsafe in some way to let someone feel that part of me fully. And then if I move through that layer, then it feels very powerful, because as the sutra said, it's this location, like vulnerability is this location where you don't have to run to or from anything. You're beyond defending, protecting, justifying, judging, or competing. And I think hunger and desire is like that, like all of us are equalized in a sense inside of hunger and desire. Like all of us have it, all of us feel it, all of us are brought to our knees by it at times. All of us have a hunger in us that we try to suppress at times or manage or control, that then gets the better of us in some way. This is a universal experience, and we all have a hunger that will, the sutras that talk about hunger talk about how good of a protector and a friend it is, because it will basically, it'll say F you to your will and just feed you anyway. It'll find a way. Into a more delicate way to say that. We're not being delicate today. But hunger is a universal experience that we all kind of meet inside of when we're willing to actually let each other feel each other there. And I think that it's probably like maybe the most kind of, like, I want to say sticky component of intimacy. It's like it's the thing that brings you into intimacy with another person, is exposure of that. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about hunger today. And as I made a bunch of lists. I wrote out a whole talk and then felt differently about it this morning. And then I was taking notes in my meditation class today, and then I ended up writing all these things that I'm hungry for. And so I have notes all over the place for this talk today. But I think the thing I noticed about my lists of hungers and, kind of just continuing to keep feeling into that vulnerable space of exposure of hunger, the thing I noticed is that it all comes down to this hunger for intimacy with life, intimacy with every moment, and intimacy particularly with the things that I think I don't want intimacy with, like that was what really struck me after writing 40 different things, was that feeling of the deepest hunger might be for me at least, that experience of identifying what I feel resistant to, or like aversive to, or judgmental towards, or like hesitant to fully engage with. And then that there's like a deep craving and a deep yearning to have intimacy with that thing that I've kind of, othered or separated from. And that was kind of the core of it. And then I thought of this line, and I think it's the 10 Hungers Sutra, but it's one of the sutras that talks about hunger, that says the thing that hungers for the most is a return to source. And I think that's basically what that is. It's like the deepest hunger I can come into contact with is a hunger to be intimacy with that which I would cast out, or that which I would think in my rational mind that I don't want intimacy with because of A, B, C. And I have my lists, and I have my reasons, and I have my judgments, and they're totally justified, and all of that stuff that kind of is of the mind and of that part of ourselves that we don't even really want to win. Like, we really don't even want that part to win. Like, it always feels so good and humbling and a relief when something comes in that kind of like sweeps that whole thing's feet out from under it and knocks it on its ass. And we're just like, oh my God, I'm allowed to love what I thought I was supposed to hate again. It just kind of feels like, oh, thank God I can come back into just, it's like that's our natural state, but we get so far from that can then become foreign, feeling. And there's a lot of pieces of the sutras about that, like how the things that are very natural to our organic being, that when you get so far from them, they feel like the foreign things instead of the things that took you really far from them. And so that feels like one of them to me. And yeah, I just think that there's a feeling and a frequency to that exposure of hunger place that allows for the flow of Eros and the meeting of people in such a way that all parts of them have a place and all parts of them are welcome, and all parts of them, it creates a field of connection where all parts of someone can come and like engage and become and sort of go through a process of each part going from a nascent young expression into a more evolved expression in the way that's like unique to that person, where they get to become truly who they are. And the way this is a field like that, you know, the land is a field like that, the Eros Monastery is a field like that, these calls are a field like that. You know, that's the kind of field that we want to create everywhere. And it's just, I just love the uniqueness of each person's expression of hunger and each person's expression of getting to enter a place where normally there's, you know, half of you that you show up to places with and is acceptable, and there's half of your hungers are like the good hungers, and you have like you know, you're ambitious in the right way, not too much and not too little, and you're like, you want sex in the right way, not too much and not too little, and you want, you know, friendship in a certain way, and you're not like too dependent and you're not too independent and whatever. It's like all these things, right? And you're like, oh, you're used to having it be that these are the parts of you that are welcome in any given space, and the rest of them you sort of keep tucked away a little bit. And then maybe you have some close friends or a close friends, I hope at least you have one, that you bring all that out to, you know, and you're like, oh my God, let me unzip. Have you guys ever seen that? Ali Wall used to have that on her phone. It was so good, but it was like that. It was like this little demon or devil unzipping the human suit at the end of the day, like smoking a cigarette. And it's a little bit like that, you know, like it's all, you just stuff it all inside, all the parts that you're not supposed to express or let other people see. And then you finally get home at the end of the day and you're like, oh my God. Or you finally get to that one person who you can expose your like darker side to or whatever. And you're like, oh my God, let me tell you all the thoughts I had today that I could never say out loud to anyone. And so we're so used to having to like spend just such an enormous amount of energy, like managing all of the parts of ourselves and trying to remember which ones are allowed and which places and everything. And then it's like and then there's that feeling of a little animal, like coming into a place being like, am I safe here to like bring out? And then there's the testing, you know, where someone like is like, put one weird dark toe in and see what people do. And then there's, you know, Leah or someone, I mean, in this particular field, and, you know, we can create these everywhere. I mean, we have one, and there's a beautiful one in New York right now in general with free food there and everything. And then also there's a women over dinner there today. And that'll be a field like that, you know? And so they're popping up like all over the place, but it's like the person could come in and put the one toe in and they're like, is it weird? Are you gonna look at me weird? Am I gonna get kicked out? And then everyone's like, oh my God, I love your toe. But like for real. And then you put another one in and you're like, how about now? I don't know about now. You can't love this. And then everybody's like, wow, tell me more. And you're like, what? And it just feels like all these different parts of you get to slowly come out and begin to be accepted. And then a natural evolution of any parts of you that are there's a couple really beautiful sutras about how there's never anything, there's just unevolved parts of us and like more evolved parts of us, and there's nothing wrong with us or bad. There's just sometimes parts that they haven't had the chance to thrive in an environment like that lets them get evolved in a way that's organic to the person. And so, you know, everybody gets to bring in their unevolved parts and have them be loved up into adulthood in a certain way. And And that's a really beautiful, vulnerable process. And I think every time in one of these erotic fields, someone's willing to take that risk and bring out another part that they're not sure is going to get love, that's hunger. You know, that's hunger for connection. It's like their hunger for intimacy and connection is going past. It's bypassing or, you know, overcoming their rational minds in order to like take a risk and try something. And it really, every time someone does that, it really lights up and feeds everyone around them in a field like this. And so that vulnerability very much is a power that feels, it's like, I see it almost like electric lines or something. Like when you're willing to bring out your vulnerability like that, you're putting out radiance and electricity and eros and joy, and you're putting these really positive, beautiful like things and permission into the world that has then the people around you also feel like they have permission and approval to be vulnerable and to do that as well. And so with each one of those, you know, stroking your environment, with each one of those, you kind of increase the joy in the world. You know, it really is a significant act to choose vulnerability in any given moment. And yeah, I think, let me see here. Let me just check all my scattered notes here. Well, I'll tell you guys some of my hungers that I wrote down just for fun. I'm hungry for connection constantly in all forms, that feeling of interconnectedness, of belonging deeply in the fabric of things. I'm hungry for intimacy, intimate touch that disarms me down to my quivering involuntary. I'm hungry for being seen fully in who I am and for seeing into others in a way where they bloom and flourish in my presence. I'm hungry to confront my own aversions, feel the squirm and cringe as I turn toward them, and the pride swallowing of becoming intimate with them, the humility and the power of no longer being held hostage by my own judgment. I'm hungry for intimacy in all forms. There's a sutra that we'll do in, I don't know, maybe like 8 weeks or something like that. That's in the principles called the sweet spot between, the intimacy is the sweet spot between merging and separateness. And I feel hungry to like just eat that sweet spot. Like I just want to like be in that sweet spot at every moment and have the free attention to be able to like be like, is it a little more, do I give this person or this situation a little more space, or do I lean in? And, you know, like that kind of play and having the free attention to be able to do that. I'm hungry for new intimacy and new ways with people I haven't opened those channels with yet. I'm hungry to talk more about Om and Eros in more places, more media, more people whose hunger connects to this path. Oh, and I'll end on this one. I'm hungry for other women's expressions of power, hungry to support that and encourage that, the power of sympathetic turn on. Your win is my win, true sisterhood. So yeah, I think that's mostly what I want to say about it. And if there were other things, I'll weave them into the rest of it. And I'd love to spend the rest of the time hearing from you guys. And if you want to say, oh, I do, that reminds me to say one more thing. But I thought, so questions are great. If you want to share a hunger that you have, that's great too. If you want to share, you know, something vulnerable, that's great too. However you'd like to do it. And so the last thing I want to say is that when expressing vulnerability or expressing hunger, or like really letting someone feel you, like letting someone actually feel Eros through you, you know, or feel like power through you, or feel your hunger. There's a tendency in communication. I mean, we have like a whole communication course, right, that basically addresses this entire thing. So it's a whole section of Eros, but in terms of communication, when you go to be vulnerable, it's a lot of sensation to hold. You know, the sutra said, vulnerability calls us to stay present with gravity, power, and clarity. So it's like you're like, I have value. I'm going to say something vulnerable. I'm going to shake and potentially quiver in my body a little bit as I do it. And I'm going to stay with that sensation. And I'm going to do my best to not do a bunch of extra on top of it to try to like cut the vulnerability down a little bit, like to dilute it. And I'm going to not do too little so that someone wouldn't be able to feel me fully. I'm going to aim for that sweet spot of just like really letting the thing be felt. And more often than not, those are very simple statements. They're not, the more long-winded, when you're talking with someone and you're like, oh, like, I really wish my friend would be more vulnerable about what's happening for them right now. The more, the longer the thing is and the more there is on top of it, the harder it is for someone to kind of have to move all that stuff aside to just get right to the spot. And it is a lot of sensation to just go right to the spot with nothing more and nothing less. And I love to have people practice stuff like that on these calls and just try it. So anything you want to share about, you can use this as practice for just like going right to that spot and just letting people feel you. Okay, hopefully that doesn't intimidate everybody too much. I have a couple in the room.
I'll share.
Oh.
I was like, I think this is just very timely. I feel like sometimes I've been noticing how I use like conversation or joking, not in a way to necessarily like build connection, but get someone farther away from my vulnerable self. And then I leave, feeling like I tricked them, but like I'm not happy about it,
Screwed yourself over there.
Yeah, I'm
They
like,
didn't feel you got missed.
Right. And and it's like I do it, like I'll enter a room. I'm very calculating. I'll calculate who's there, like who do I need to connect to in order to feel safe, and not like real connection, just like limbically, I'm okay. Basically, limbically, am I okay to be here? And really that, I love that you brought up value towards the end, because I'm like, oh, it's that place where I'm like, am I valuable enough to be here? Am I okay for this person? I'm okay with this person for me to be here. And I've been noticing where I literally feel like there's shields that I can feel come up and kind of keep me out of keep me bumping up against the flow, but not in the flow. So I've been practicing just being more quiet and like letting things come up and come to me. But then I'm also having to watch where I don't like retract, and like because it's more aversive for me to be that person who like, it's like, I have this vulnerable thing and like, it might upset you or it might upset me or someone might get upset, but it's on my mind and I'll act weird until I say it with you and in general. And so it's kind of like this own prison thing. And it's very like, I would say like it's unforgiving, but it's like, it's very like one or the other. It's either like this prison or it's like this palace, there's like no in between. And pretending that there isn't in between is just like, it's really the prison, but then sensitizing myself, it's really the prison. But I lived a lot in that in between place of like just numbness. So
that's what, it was like, what was it? It said, don't fall into the negotiation. Not ducking out or hiding in a negotiation. And that could totally be with a person, like where you have a vulnerable desire and it gets shot down. And how do you stay with it calls it the bare thread of vulnerability, right? Like, how do you stay with that without getting into a negotiation and being like, oh, okay, let me hem and haw and make this desire less kind of thing. And it can also be an internal negotiation, which is more what you're talking about. Like, this whole kind of like strategic, how do I, right, little tap dance thing. and then eventually, and then it always kind of corners you in the end, right? And you're like, you got me. Okay, I'll give it up.
Try again another day. See how it goes. Different strategy, maybe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really good.
There's like a couple things and I don't know maybe they'll all come out, we'll see. But the first thing I was thinking about, or what struck me, especially in the sutra, was like the part about vulnerability is like when all the fight leaves. And I was thinking about something that you said to me like years ago, and I'm feeling emotional, where you were like, I don't remember everything, but the part that has always stayed with me is like that you can be like either really stingy with your down, or like you can be generous with your down, and it's actually really generous to share when you're in, like, I'm using the word down, but like that vulnerability, and how generous it is to like let someone see you in that. And now I guess it's just happening. I don't know.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah.
You're having a little down peak and you're showing everyone.
Yeah, because it was just like, I think why it was so pivotal to hear that when you are trying to hide it or disguise it, like you're actually being stingy, because people are hungry to like feel you in that raw place, that surrendered place, that place where all the fight leaves. And I guess this is more when it's like grief or pain, but I also like, I just love when people are angry. Like, I think that's one of my favorite ways to be around people, is when they're just like mad. And like, and you know, someone said to me yesterday, like, oh, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just like complaining or being negative or whatever. And I was just like, as long, like, it feels honest. And because it feels honest, it feels great, you know, versus like, because it's like, if someone's complaining and it's like their mind and they're making it up, it's like, okay, like I would stop you. But like, I feel like you're just like letting it rip, kind of like a fear inventory, you know, you're just like letting it come out, stream of consciousness. And I always think that feels so good. So,
yeah. People are really hungry to feel vulnerability from others, like deeply hungry, thirsty for it. You know, it doesn't, you maybe get little glimpses of it here and there, but it's more rare that you meet someone who's willing to just sit in it and like have it be the thing that emanates out of them the whole time. And it's so disarming. It's so disarming. Like nothing can, all of the ideas and the fight and the conflicts and the everything like kind of fall away in the presence of that kind of power. Yeah. You want to pick people this time?
We'll hear from Lisa. Yeah, you're on.
It wouldn't let me. I got it. I love this so much. I was rereading it. I found it on the platform, and I was rereading it. And the line that kept sticking out to me was about what I got from it was like, oh, why I love a good down, or like a good like climactic like moment in life, is because I hit this spot of surrender, but I also touched the taste of liberation and freedom and clarity, and like knowing what my true desires are. And when you were reading your desires, Aubrey, I mean, I felt every single one of them. But the one about the sweet spot, yeah, I feel like I'm tasting that lately, and it's so good. And I too would love to like live right here in this little sweet spot. It's like, it feels like from this position, the possibilities in life are endless, like endless possibilities. And I feel really grateful for that. And I guess like my vulnerable, you had asked me once, like, did you see a flash of what you wanted your life to be, and then like decided to hang out hiding for a while? And I was like, no, go away. And I've been like really looking at that, like, and I think like, if I'm being honest, like I ran when everything went down with that article. I ran from my purpose. I ran from this work, and I've been dipping my toes back in and seeing like a lot of conditioning I put back on and feeling like I wasn't like, I'll never teach again, I'll never be good enough or whatever. And then I saw Annika's thing on the website and I was like, damn, I want that. And I would really like to teach something about like parenting and like how to stay alive as a parent and like how to use these principles to like, you know, to stay, you know, because I'm somewhat very much in the world, and like how to be that light in the world when you don't have the chance to live on the land, or like be teaching and like, you know, holding something on the platform. Like how do you take these things and bring them home, and how do you use them well in your life? And I think that's where I'm located right now, and that is my desire.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for sharing a desire. That felt so good. Let's definitely get you that desire. And I love what you said too about creating it from where you are. You know, like I think of the land in the Eros Monastery as kind of this place that you know you can come as a Eros practitioner, or you know, even if you're looking into being a practitioner, like you can come and get really filled up here and get this really deep transmission of how to create fields like this, and then you can do it anywhere with anyone, anytime. And we really need that, you know, like everywhere. We need it everywhere. We just could create them everywhere, and then it'll be like this interconnected web, and then the little lines will just intersect to all of them, and we'll just cover the planet. So yeah, I love that desire so much. That's really awesome. Thank you. Angela, I knew you were going to share. I saw your little face and I was like, I want Angela.
This is my favorite topic. You know, this is my favorite topic. Okay, so what I want to share about hunger this week is, well, two things, but maybe just one, but maybe three. My birthday is coming. I'm going to be 50 on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And I haven't, like for probably 2 months, I've been like, I don't want to do anything for my birthday. But of course I knew that that wasn't true, but I couldn't feel like what the desire was. And you know, then I, you know, did all the things that I know how to do. And I just started like, have to like write around myself so I can actually get to because I knew I was like, oh, there's something I'm really hungry for. So I have to like circumambulate my own brain and mind and desire to find it. And this went on and on and on for like months. And then I was like, as I was writing this piece, I was like, oh, I want to, and it felt so tender because I am someone, I'm a Scorpio, this is Scorpio, and I don't like the actual direct light, like diffused always or to the side or around the corner, except for recently I realized, turns out I do like the direct light, or at least something's involved in me that likes the direct light. Like the attention, like I have a hunger for attention, like a growing hunger for a certain kind of attention. And then I want to have a party. And I felt so confronted by the fact that I wanted to have a birthday party, and not just like, because, you know, anybody that's been in LA knows, like, I'll have a birthday party with like 5 people and that'll be
the negotiation.
Yes, with my own darn self. But then as I started writing like your hunger list, I came up with a list of like 40 people, like right off, like first iteration. Wow. And then I just kept adding people. And then I was like, and then I want live music. And then I want a DJ too. And then I want this and I want that. And I want this and I want that. And by the time I got done writing it, I was like I felt like I had just had like the best whatever wave of orgasm all over the place, because I was like, that's actually what I'm hungering for. And then what was funny was I was like, okay, great, there's the hunger. And then I just sort of put it away, like, well, I'm not going to do that. Like, my birthday's in like 5 days. I can't. And then I talked to a friend and they were like, well, we could absolutely figure out a way to have a birthday party. So there's this place with my hunger currently where I'm like, just if I can touch it, feel it, and actually feel that it's true. And the last thing I'll say is that, because what I realize with my hunger right now is like, if it's not the actual thing, it will like the juice will turn off.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it'll just be like, it won't turn off. It'll be like, that's not it. And then just keep like a throbbing, pulsing thing. Like, so what is it going to be? And are you going to come towards me and figure out what this is? And I'm not going to let you sleep until you do. It's like that urgent and that needy. And so it's like very, very unrelenting. So I love every conversation that we have about hunger and every opportunity to do it, because it's like, I want a birthday and I want a birthday party. And I knew I always wanted it, but I also knew that it couldn't be like the sugary party. You know, it couldn't be some manufactured like holiday, Halloween, get dressed up, because that's when my birthday is. And I was like, because that's not what I want. There's a very specific quality and expression that touches the hunger. And anyway, every entry point into it, birthday parties, sex, all of it is just a very delicious journey. Thank you.
That was great. You just fed everyone. That was awesome. There were two parts that the first thing I want to say was like, was it a woman who said that to you? Like, we can definitely have a party.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I just wanted to give a shout out to whoever that was, and to just erotic sisterhood in general, because we're so like, part of this path is so specific to in the woman training aspect of this path. Like, we learn from the beginning to support our own desires and each other's desires. And so just erotic sisters who, you know, you're like, I have this crazy idea. I know it's probably so stupid, you know, whatever, all the things that we say, you know, in front of the desires that we have. And then you have that one sister or those sisters that are like, no, let's do it. What are you talking about? This is amazing. I love it. So that's awesome. And then, God, it's so, the having level, like a woman saying she wants attention, and a woman saying she wants like a big celebration of her, and just the having level of that, you know, like that kind of, I think of it like eating in front of people. Does anyone else have this where you're just, Maya does not have this, but maybe other people do. That's why Maya's like really good medicine for me in my life. She's like a woman so right with it. But I don't really like to eat, like literally I don't like to eat in front of people that much. I don't like it if people watch me eat something. And that's kind of how I feel across the board with everything in life. It's intense for women sometimes to like let themselves be seen in consuming and seen in enjoying what they're consuming. And you're like, I'm going to owe something for this later. I know it if I let people see how much I'm enjoying this, you know? And so, and that's actually why I put in the opening prayer that we do, I put that thing about enjoyment, because that's the payment for enjoyment, is enjoyment. And so that was the other thing that stood out, was just, I just want to highlight, you know, the having level piece of it, having just made it through the having level section and the principles and everything. Like, it's just, there's something initially excruciating about opening your having level and letting yourself receive more. And then once you get inside of it and get going, then it's like how your share felt, which is like you just kept feeding everybody more and more specifics from your desire and your hunger, and it just felt like everyone got to eat and benefit.
Thank you. Love you.
Oh, also, thanks. Also, can I come? Because I think I'm going to be in LA at that time.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And if you come, I have a request.
You have a request?
I have a request.
Okay.
This will be for anybody who wants to come to my party. So my request is that, because you do such beautiful prayers and beautiful blessings, that I would love a birthday blessing. Whether you're here or not, I still actually want that. And anybody who wants to give me one can also give me one, because I am currently requesting, accepting, and hungering for birthday blessings. Thank you.
I will happily give you that. Consider it done.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll go to Mandy.
Mandy.
Hi, Aubrey. Thank you so much for your sharing. I loved it. So the two areas where I feel like I can really let my essence out without being shy or self-conscious are dancing, or when I wear color, because both of those feel like they're from God through me. am an intimacy, like touch erotic healer. So every day that I have clients, I'm in this like really juicy, sacred, intimate container where I'm holding the space, and that feels very natural for me. I get very uncomfortable when I'm the one being vulnerable. So, I went to AA like over 10 years ago. So I had to be there were moments where I had to like share my truth and cry in front of everyone, or speak right after I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me and I was like a mess. And those moments were very transformative, but they were also so uncomfortable. So I'm like, I noticed that sometimes I get very uncomfortable when I have to be the one asking for help or needing something. I'm much more comfortable holding the space. Also, I want to just acknowledge myself. Like 10 years ago when I was in, One Taste, CP7. I mean, it was the first time I ever spoke in a group. I'm like such a hider. I'm so shy. And so this is like right now in this moment, I feel like I'm in my body and I'm speaking in a group. And this is like massive healing for me. So, if someone's shy or scared, and it ebbs and flows. In this moment, I feel safe, but it's really terrifying for someone like me to like come forward and be seen and by multiple people. And then also to share tender desires, which I've been working on sharing tender desires. So, it's like the one that's at the surface is I want to be held. I want to be held like this painting behind me. And I'm pretty simple, like just hold me. And like, I'm happy. Like, hold me, feed me, fuck me. Like I'm good. And it's scary to say that to the person I'm wanting it with. And lastly, I'll just say like, someone, I'm single and someone caught my eye recently. So I was like talking with him on FaceTime last night, and this person is in AA. So I feel like there's a level of connected understanding already in language. But I was noticing I was hiding, it's like this fantasy of what I thought the conversation would be and how I would reveal my true desire and this and that. And then all of a sudden I noticed I closed up and clammed up on the call. And then it was like I was asking him questions about himself. And so there's still like a lot more work I need to do around allowing this to open so that I'm not protecting as much.
You feel amazing. You feel amazing. Beautiful, like just opening of a woman's world and sharing all these different pieces inside of it. That was gorgeous. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to do something slightly unorthodox. Oh, I don't want to mess with the mic. No, I'm good. Okay. I'm going to make a request to someone on this call because I do these women classes. I do all these different classes on the Eros platform. And one of them, that a few weeks ago, someone in my women class just said the coolest thing about women's hunger, and I just saw the person type in the chat. And so I would love for this person to come on and attempt to repeat this thing that they said about hunger. Emily M., you don't even have to come on camera if you don't want to, but I would love it if you would say that thing about hunger that you said a few weeks ago in class, because I just loved it so much.
I'm in the middle of my nap with like my bra on, and I was like, I'm totally gonna be called on today.
I love your shares and your math.
So beautiful. Yes, what I shared was I've just noticed in the world when women stand up, things just get better. So the hunger, the rightness, the difference that I think we could make in the world if we are fully rooted in our rightness as women is the food in the cafeterias all around the world would be better. There would most likely be a 3-day work week with like nap times in the middle of the day. So I've decided to start that in my own life. That's why you guys are catching me in bed. There would most likely be, well, for sure, no child would be hungry. For absolute sure, no child would go hungry. Every single form of communication put out would have a personalized, intimate, custom note for every single person, rather than I've been getting like blasts of emails from people, and I'm like, yeah, you clearly like didn't learn about me. You aren't interested in like meeting my spot. This was just a cold blast of an email that was sent to probably 1,000 people, rather than a really personalized, individualized communication. So I feel like communication would be exquisite if we really touched our hunger as women. And the last one I can think of today is the last one I can think of today is around dress codes. You know, like if you go to a gala, it has to be formal. If you go to church, it has to be a certain way. Just the idea of dress codes all around, I think, would be completely dissolved if the world was to meet my hungers.
Thank you, Emily. I love that so much. Yeah, just the transmission of, there's this aspect in the sutras about women self-defining, and I think that includes defining a world based on a vision that includes the feminine and includes our hunger. And so every time you talk about this, I feel more fortified and like inspired. So thank you for being willing. Yeah.
All right. That is all the time that we have for questions today. That was such a beautiful sutra study. Thank you, Aubrey, and thank you everyone who is online. We will wrap up with a few reflections. It could be a reflection of Aubrey, of the sutra, of anything that you heard today, and then we will get our dedication from Leah. So we'll have 3 reflections. Austin?
I really love that, and I feel like this is your one of your kind of rays that you shine on people often, and it just the kind of glow of being able to let all the empty air kind of empty out and then feel what's below. That was wonderful.
Anyone online like to do a reflection? Someone who hasn't spoken, want to be vulnerable? Carol?
I feel like this is very vulnerable, but I have a mad crush on you, Aubrey. And every time you have like these vulnerable talks, it just makes it grow, my love for you grow deeper and more fond of you. I don't know. I'm so glad that you're in my life. I just remember that one time when I came back from the hospital and you held me and I was just sobbing. It's like you were the only person I think I would have allowed to do that. So you just always have a special place in my heart. Thank you.
I love you, Carol.
Oh.
And then the 415 number, would you like to give the final reflection?
Hey everyone, it's Marcy.
Hi, Marcy.
So, hi everybody. I'm so glad to be a participant in this beautiful conversation. And oh my God, I lost there were 2 things I wanted to say.
Just a reflection, just a reflection point. Simple, direct.
I was walking through the woods the redwoods listening in, and it was like a dream field of warm, delicious sky. And thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Marcy. All right, so that is all for Sutra Study today. I just wanted to say I love these so much, and I just kept feeling like all throughout just how much I want everyone to know is available here on the land. Like, we have this gorgeous monastery, and anytime if anyone wants to come, we always have programming here, from these kinds of in-person live events of sutra studies to just a regular schedule of practice, of all different kinds of practice. And everyone, anyone who hears a desire, will have a link in the chat. And we would love to have anyone who wants to come and visit and steep and be able to nourish and practice in community to be able to have that opportunity to come. All right, I'll have Leah get us out with a dedication.
We dedicate our excellence, our resourcefulness, our creativity, and our resilience to the building of the mandala and the awakening of the feminine pole. May all women everywhere recognize that they are made of power and become willing to carry the weight of it, wielding it with joy for the mandala of humankind. Amen.
See you all next week. Thank you.
Bye.